I realize that there's a lot of people out there who grew up with the NES and that second generation of gaming systems, the Atari 2600, the ColecoVision, the Intellivision, so on and so forth, really are kind of lost on them. So what I'd like to do here today is talk a little bit about the Atari 2600. What I've done is I've taken one game randomly for each letter of the alphabet and decided to show them off a little and say a couple things about them. If you're new to the 2600, I hope this piques your interest, and if you're not, I hope you enjoy the little nostalgia trip. So let's get into this. A is for asteroids. While the arcade version had vector graphics, the 2600 version makes do with sprites. Space shooters don't get much more old school than this. B is for Berserk, another classic arcade port. Run around and shoot robots in one of the games that inspired arcade greats such as Smash TV. Watch out for Evil Otto. C is for Centipede. This time you're shooting bugs and more bugs. The arcade version used a trackball, but it's not half bad with the Atari joystick. This one is one of my favorites. D is for Defender. Protect the world from an alien invasion and abductions with an early use of scrolling on the 2600. Not the best port, but you can do a lot worse. So, are you sick of shooting stuff yet? Well, if you are, here's a little bit of a reprieve, but just for a couple letters. E is for E.T., an ambitious, if not rushed game. Did the game really kill the video game industry in 1983? No. Is it the most terrible game ever made? I don't think so. F is for Frogger, a faithful port of the Konami arcade title. Not bad for the 2600, but it feels a little on the slow side to me. Still a fun little game worth checking out. G is for Galaxian. Shoot up some aliens in a game that has some surprisingly decent sprite detail for a 2600 game. And watch out for those dive-bombing space bugs. H is for Haunted House. Avoid ghosts, bats, and spiders as you navigate 4 floors of rooms, searching for the pieces of an urn, and then and only then can you escape the haunted house. I is for Indy 500, which feels more to me like Drunk Driving Simulator, trying to travel around the course without hitting the walls or even hitting the other players. Darn near impossible. J is for Joust. Ride triumphantly into battle mounted on a giant space ostrich. Yeah, it's kind of weird, but you know what? It's pretty darn fun to play, especially with a friend. K is for Kangaroo. Climb ladders, punch enemies, grab fruit, and ring a bell, and avoid getting shot. I have no idea why they're shooting at you, but that's what's going on. L is for Lock and Chase. In this game, published by Mattel, you play cops and robbers in a game that doesn't remind me anything at all of Pac-Man. M is for Mario Brothers. Remember that one time Mario caught crabs in the sewer? I'm sure he does. Something's gumming up the plumbing in this arcade port. N is for No Escape. iMagic wasn't sure if they wanted to make a rip-off of Space Invaders or Breakout, so they made this instead. Check it out if you can. O is for Outlaws. Wild West dueling on the 2600. Plug your friends full of lead as much as you can with the time limit. Kinda like Combat, but with cowboys. P is for Pitfall. Activision's Jungle Adventure Classic. Use alligator heads as stepping stones, swing on vines, avoid barrels and snakes in order to get that treasure. Q is for Cubert. Hop from cube to cube, changing their colors all while avoiding enemies and cursing up a storm in this arcade port with somewhat awkward controls. R is for Roadrunner. Avoid Wile E. Coyote, eat birdseed, and try not to get run over as you run the wrong way down the highway. It's actually a bit more fun than the NES version. S is for Space Invaders. It might seem pretty unassuming at first, but it can be one of the most stressful games out there. The invaders keep getting faster as they get closer. T is for Tapper. Look at that amber-colored beverage in those mugs. That sure isn't root beer. Playing this one's making me thirsty. U is for Up and Down. In this racing game by Sega, you're driving uphill, jumping over other cars, with some of the worst attempts at background music ever on the system. V is for Vanguard. Shoot stuff in an alternating side and overhead views, based on an arcade game known for having music borrowed from both the Star Trek and Flash Gordon movies. W is for Wizard of War. Shoot up monsters in a dungeon styled after a Pac-Man maze. The monsters flicker on the screen a lot due to the hardware limitations of the 2600. X is for Xevious. Xevious is an overhead vertical shooter with a crazy plot about an advanced ancient civilization. Not that you can tell what's going on in the game. Y is for Yar's Revenge. Chip away at the enemy's shield, ready the cannon, time your shot to destroy their cannon. The original game came with a comic book telling its story. Z is for Zaxxon, a really noble attempt at simulating a 3D landscape on the Atari 2600. Let's just say it doesn't work out all that great. It uses a behind-the-player perspective instead of the angled overhead view of the arcade. This merely only scratches the surface of the games that were ever released for the Atari 2600. There have been well over 500. The console also has a ton of homebrew games made for it, and I think maybe next time I'll take a look at one of the more popular homebrew games that were made for it. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care. If you like what you see, feel free to check me out on social media. Otherwise, you can subscribe to this channel. I do new videos every Friday, sometimes on Wednesdays too. Once again, thank you for watching. Take care.